Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining the Think Realty podcast today. It's my privilege and my pleasure to be a part of the show. I'm Eddie Wilson, the founder of Think Realty. Started in 2013 as a third generation real estate investor. And the goal was to bring access to you, the listener, the viewer, to bring the people that are actually doing the work. There's a lot of gurus out there, a lot of people that are actually teaching it but not doing the work. And I always bring resident experts and people in. They're physically doing the things they talk about. That's what's important. That's what I got as a kid sitting around a dinner table, was a dad and a grandpa that were sitting there doing the work, and I learned by watching them and understanding and asking questions of them. So we've got a great interview here today in just a second, but let me say a quick thank you to our podcast sponsor. Podcast sponsor is CV3 Financial, and it's when you're taking on a new real estate investment project, having a trusted lender is key. Count on CV3 for your fix and flip, rental, cash out, or rate and term refi needs. Visit cv3financial.com/thinkrealty, cv3financial.com/thinkrealty. Our guest today is Dani Lynn Robison, and I appreciate you being on the show today.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
It's an honor to be here.
It's kind of unique because I usually only get time with you and your husband.
I know.
Yeah.
He's in Michigan.
I know.
He abandoned me.
And I actually feel sorry for him. Anybody that goes to Michigan, I feel bad for them. But no, her husband is a big Michigan State Spartans fan,
yes.
And that's the only Michigan team I'll ever cheer for. But only if they're playing, the blue team.
Yes,
so, anyways,
understood.
Anyways, Dani, you guys, I've followed your career for quite a while now. I've known you guys for a little while. I've known you all the way back when you were still living in Ohio. Mm-hmm. Dani and Flip, they built a great investing business and real estate business out of the Dayton area.
Yeah.
And fully integrated. You guys, you're doing fix and flips and wholesale and property management and just doing it all. And then you kind of naturally migrated into multifamily and started doing some multifamily and do some education and some, content delivery and all that good stuff. So what's new right now?
Wow. What's new is that we're really ramping up our wholesaling business, taking advantage of what's going on right now in the market.
Yeah.
While everybody's sitting on the sidelines, we're jumping in and just buying everything that we can. Wholesaling what we don't want and flipping what we're going to take and entering into new markets. Mm-hmm. And then we're launching company number 8 in probably a couple weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you telling anybody what it is yet?
I haven't, but I will.
You will?
Yeah.
Wait,
yeah.
Industry exclusive right here. Yeah.
It's a lead generation business for people in the real estate space. It doesn't matter really the industry, just we're serving people that we know how to serve. Yeah. We're really, really good at generating leads, so we found a way that we can do it exclusively for people, really simple, and make it a win for them. And so. Yeah,
we need to talk
number
about that
8
business.
on the way.
We need to talk about that one.
Yep.
That's a good one. That's great. That's to me one of the hardest things. It's like you can teach somebody to do a real estate deal, but then without access to the deals, like they really struggle, right?
Yes.
And so you solve that problem, and you really solve a lot of the problems in real estate.
That's right.
I love that.
Yes.
I love that. That's great. Solving problems is always the greatest business to get in, right?
It is.
Cool. Well, let's talk about the market. Right now, it's election cycle, it's craziness. A lot of people, just like you said, sitting on the sidelines, just hesitating, waiting, holding on to cash, whatever they're doing. And I think we think similarly in the fact that when everybody else is kind of sitting there waiting, it seems like the greatest opportunity, proposes itself to you. So talk to me about just the chaos in the marketplace. I mean, what do you see? What's going on, and why are people, hesitating so much in the real estate space?
Yeah, so I think it's a combination of things. It's this perfect storm of interest rates in the election and inflation and scarcity mindsets. There's been in the real estate market, depending on where you're at, you're seeing some static activity for like the last 2 to 3 months, which is making even the best of people really fearful. And so it's that combination of everything that they're just waiting, and they've been waiting for a long time.
Sure. And
so we started talking about it a lot, and started talking to our investors and saying, what are you thinking? What are you feeling? And it was a lot of fear and uncertainty. And everybody has a different opinion. And I don't have a crystal ball, and I don't even pretend to be the expert, but I know how to solve problems, like you said. And so as we saw this fear and uncertainty, we knew that we were the opposite. We were going to take advantage of opportunity. And so we said, how do we do that? How do we get people off the sidelines? And so it came down to turning all of our investment opportunities into liquid investment opportunities, so people felt safe. They're like, okay, well, if I can get it back out in 90 days or 6 months or 12 months, I'll absolutely go in. 99% of people leave it in there the whole entire time. They just wanted the peace of mind that they could take it out. So I think that's what I'm seeing. I'm not talking a lot about probably what you're really good at. I just saw you do an intro this morning, and you were talking about the market and essentially saying the exact same thing about being fearful when other people are greedy versus greedy when other people are fearful from Warren. And it's those professional investors that I'm surrounding myself with.
Yeah, following the big capital, It's like they always seem to have the crystal ball more than we do, right?
Yes.
And then we kind of go the opposite path. I heard recently you talked about the 3 types of investors.
Yeah.
Do you mind kind of breaking that down for us? I think it's a really smart way to think about it and for them to identify themselves as they're listening.
For sure. So this is a little bit different way to think about it, and it's based on the market right now and based on the conversations that I'm having. There's the emotional investors, the experienced investors, and the professional investors. So I would classify you and I as professional investors because we do it all the time. We know how to underwrite deals. We know how to navigate the market. We know when to enter and when to exit. The experienced investors are the ones that are sitting in events and listening to podcasts like this, and they understand I want to invest my money with the professionals who are watching the market and know what they're doing. And then the emotional investors are usually the ones that are sitting on the sidelines, getting pretty scared and testing the waters and then pulling it back out because they're fearful, and they are the ones that end up losing the most amount of money due to lack of the opportunity of earning, and then also inflation just eroding the dollar. So that's what I like to talk about, because I want to reach the emotional investors and turn them into experienced investors, because there's people like you and I who have opportunities coming at us left and right that we could help them with their returns.
I love that because I think if you're listening and you identify with the emotional investor, to me, that's the most disadvantageous place to be in when investing.
Yes,
right?
100%.
I can't tell you how many times I've presented a deal and I've said, by the way, investing should be a data-driven, pragmatic approach. It should not be, ooh, I really like this deal, or ooh, I really like this person. It shouldn't be like, ooh, I think I'm going to get rich. It's like, no, it should have some data. It should have some experience behind it.
Yes.
And then I always say that it's better to invest in the jockey and not the horse. Which comes to the professional side, right? It's like, man, I love investing. What I love investing is in people. Like, I'm to the place where I invest more passively today than I do actively. You just get to that place in life where you don't want to actually physically do all the work it takes to be the active investor. And I don't invest with new investors, I don't like new operators.
Right. Yes.
And it's not because I think they're bad people. It's just the mistakes are made with newer investors. And you talk about the professional side. It's like, people have been through recessions and downturns and big upswings, and it's like those are the people you want to invest with. Like that's where you need to place your money. And if you are somebody who's trying to move into that professional space, I believe there's a lot of things wrong with unions, but I'll tell you one of the greatest things that unions provide is the apprenticeship program, right? I'll come swing this hammer with you. I'll go install this electrical with you.
Yes.
And that's the problem with investing today, is like so many people are trying to do it alone. And that's why I love the model that you guys have and others, where the syndication model oftentimes is the greatest tool for learning, because I get to come as a limited partner, no fiduciary responsibility, give you a little bit of money to be a part of your deal, and I get to watch how you do it, how you look at it, how you underwrite it, how you operate it. It's brilliant, and to me, it's the greatest apprenticeship program in real estate today. I love that very much.
Yeah, we have a lot of investors who will say, we don't want to do what you do. We don't want to go through the growing pains of getting to where you've gone, because we have lost money. We have been sued. If you've been in real estate long enough, that's just what happens. And they're like, we don't want to do that part, but we love to live vicariously through the real estate investments by investing with you, and we get all the updates. We get to hear the stories.
Tell us what's going on.
we get to hear what went wrong and how you're fixing it.
We get to smile when you get sued.
That's right. So yeah, it's really, it's a great opportunity. And to your point, it is about the jockey. Like there's so many times in real estate where I've heard people saying, I just, didn't do the due diligence I should have done, at the very, very front. And so I always tell everybody, it comes down to 3 questions. Where do you start? Which path is right for me? And who do you trust? And who do you trust is the number one question. Find the people with the track record and that you just inherently love. And, I've been around you for a long time, and literally Flip and I joke that if Eddie's going to do something, I guess we'll be there, because we just always are.
I love that. I think that people that are listening to the podcast today still fall into that category of being afraid. Like the market's crazy and you can't deny it. How does one find financial peace of mind today? How do I get to a place where I can invest, I can take a step forward, but also have financial peace of mind?
Yeah, so that's where liquidity comes into play. So what we did, it was actually something that we learned when we first started real estate, and I've talked to you about this before. When we started our first company, we knew that it was a turnkey, and by learning through hiring contractors, we learned, hey, we need a project manager. We need our own renovation company. By outsourcing to 5 different property management companies, we thought, no, we need our own property management company. So we knew we had to vertically integrate in order to control every piece of the puzzle and serve the people that we were intending to serve and our own portfolio. And so through that process, we were like, okay, this is going to take more money than we have to be able to build this many companies all at once and hire the people that we need. And so one of our investors was telling us, hey, Dani, I love what you're doing. I want to invest with you, but I don't want my money back. I was like, can't legally do that. I've got to pay you your money back. I've got to give you the interest. I've got to do the mortgage release, because at the time it was private money lending. And so talked to an attorney, and we created this master note program that allowed the investor to invest in us, and we were able to use it to actually build the businesses. And so every other private money lender, we got on the phone and said, our attorney just created this program. This is what it's doing for the investor. This is how it's helping us. Would you like to be a part of it? And bit by bit, people are cashing out of their private money lending and putting it into master notes. So recently, as we're looking at the market and talking to investors and understanding what they're feeling, and it's fear and uncertainty, we brought back the master note program, essentially. And it's really cool, because tomorrow we're closing on a syndication. And now how we're using it is it offers up our investors liquidity. So that financial piece that you just talked about, it's the liquidity. All they want to know is I have access to the cash if I see something going wrong. They don't ever take it out, but they just want that peace of mind. And so that for us, we have a fund manager. And so, when you're raising money for a syndication, sometimes you're up against this closing date and you got to, fill this $5 million, raise. And so you're race, get to that closing date.
Out.
Now we have this master note program that we can open and close as we see fit. And so we raise the capital there, get ready to close, use those funds, and backfill it later. And so all these investors are getting the liquidity they want while investing in somebody who's in real estate, which they believe in.
That's
so
great.
That's how
I love it.
we figured it out.
I love that. That's great. How do they find out if they're an investor and they would love to know about that program? How do they find out about that?
Yeah, so chatwithfreedom.com. If you go there, you're going to go straight to our investor relations page, Ben and CJ. They're fantastic. They know everything that's open right now. We do have a syndication available. We've got master notes. Master notes is closing because we are closing on the syndication, so we'll backfill it and then keep on rotating those funds. And we have a liquidity fund too. Because of the market, we built a $100 million liquidity fund and said, hey, this is a popular thing. This is what most of our investors want. So let's do that.
That's great. So what is it? It's
chatwithfreedom.com.
Chatwithfreedom.com. Very cool. They can get on there and learn about all of the investment vehicles and all that good stuff. Yeah, very cool. That's great. Where do you see opportunity in the marketplace right now? I know you're involved in multifamily, single family, wholesale, fix and flip. Where do you see the opportunity right now, or where's the greatest opportunity that you're seeing?
For us, it's multifamily, and we have a lot of people out there that are just bringing us opportunities. Opportunities that may have been with another operator that was newer, and they just need help, and so we end up, JVing with them, or just outright buying it. The one we're closing on tomorrow, we're actually assuming a loan for a seller that just You know, he just was tired, right? And he's tired of watching the market go up and down, and he's not somebody that's doing it professionally, so the asset just isn't performing. But we are in love with multifamily. We do it really well. So we do two things. One, we buy in our backyard because we're vertically integrated and we can control as much of it as possible. And then we also partner with other great operators, and we kind of we're the family office of sorts, where we bring the capital and then we oversee the operations that allow us to take over if we need to take over.
That's great. I love that. I'm a huge proponent of multifamily as well, especially in this time period. And that's where I've been finding deals at too is, you know, a lot of bridge debt is coming due.
Yes.
And a lot of new investors didn't understand what type of liquidity they were going to need to get long-term financing.
That's right.
And so we've been finding good deals that have a lot of meat on the bone, that have all the work's already been done, or at least a majority of it. And and now instead of selling, you know, taking 4 or 5 years to sell it, it's in a window of selling it in the next 2 years or 3 years. But yeah, I love the multifamily space too. And I love it because if there's a good operator, a passive is really safe in it, you know, like, and there's very little requirement. I always say, people say, oh, I'm investing in real estate passively. And I'm like, well, what did you buy? And they're like, a turnkey. And I'm like, so, okay, so you got a property manager and a tenant who looks over your financial statements every month. How do you know if you've actually made the money? Who's actually making your choices? And it's like, you know, that's really not that passive. You know, like a lot of passive real estate investing is not passive.
That's right.
What I found is, like, you know, multifamily is true passive if you come in as an LP, right? Like, I have no fiduciary responsibility. I don't have to vote. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to, you know, I basically get to watch the statements like you're saying and get my check and, you know, and enjoy the ride.
Yes.
And if you got a good operator, then you sleep good at night too, you know, so you don't have to worry about it. But yeah, so I really love multifamily. Any other spaces that you're really in love with now other than multifamily?
Senior housing. We just invested in our most recent one. I want to say it was 6 months ago. In fact, I think we were at one of the other events that I saw you at. I see you so often, actually. But yeah, I love senior housing just because of, you know, the aging population right now. And I know Flip and I joke that we just want to own one because we're going to eventually
end up in one.
But I would say.
Will you guys be the activities director at the at the
Flip
senior?
Absolutely will. You know, that's right up his alley.
I hope you guys don't age too fast, so you have to go into it anytime soon. But when you do, I hope that Flip takes on the activities director job.
I have no doubt. That's hilarious. He's going to say, company number 8 or 9.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But I love that space. I think that's a good space to be in. It really, for us, it's about finding the right people. We invest in people. We work with people that we trust and have the experience that we feel they can bring to the table that we don't have, that we can rely on. And so that's why, you know, we surround ourselves with people like you and other people who have similar experience.
That's great. Last question. It's a question I ask often, and it's a belief I have. I believe that most oftentimes the successes in your life come on the other side of some sacrifice. Sacrifice of time, sacrifice of money, sacrifice of sometimes relationships. What sacrifices have you made in your life to get to the level of success you're at today?
Health.
Yeah.
No, 100% health.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when we started building our companies, we just let it all go to the wayside. Like we were working on cruise ships, we were doing art auctions, like we were incredibly fit, worked out all the time, started building the businesses, had this vision of what we wanted it to be, and just would not stop. And wouldn't stop for anything. And so I would say our relationship also suffered, but because we worked together, I mean, there was still that bond of we're always together, we're always, you know, riding that roller coaster together. So, you know, luckily we're not the type of people that would hurt. It actually brought us together more than anything else. But there was a point that when we hired a CEO, I think 5 years into the business, we both went to the doctor and just went, can you just check us and make sure we're okay at this point? We had gained so much weight and we just did not, we didn't look at what we were eating or anything like that. And that just, that hurts so many areas of your life, you don't even realize it.
So are you on the journey now of regaining all of that?
Yes, and you know what? We would go and try different diets, like all the time, right? There's so many different diets. We've hired so many different coaches, and it turns out what's helping us the most is just watching the calories.
Yeah.
What you put in.
Yeah.
It's so simple.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I have this spreadsheet because I love data, and so I have this spreadsheet, and I found out what calorie point allowed me to keep on losing weight.
Yeah.
So it's great, and so and also just the it's weird I'm not talking about this right now, but we put it in phases too. Like let's just focus on the calorie first. Let's get that consistency of losing weight. Then let's incorporate, maybe reduce caffeine, reduce sugars.
Sure.
Then let's incorporate adding some, workouts in and stuff, so that we weren't. I'm a all-in type person.
Yeah.
So many times I would go all in, which means when I went out,
all out. Yeah.
I went all the way back out, and so that was just a roller coaster.
Yeah.
So those phases have been pretty powerful. I even stopped drinking, cut out sugar, and cut out caffeine.
Wow.
And I made it about 4 weeks,
Yeah.
but that headache just would not go
It's
away.
brutal.
And so it was right back out. I was like, okay, don't do that again. Slow down.
Yeah, that's awesome. I've heard it said so much, and I've had to go on my own health journey, but it's like that, health has got to be a lifestyle change, not an activity change, which is hard. And you don't just change your whole lifestyle overnight, especially if you're used to it,
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, very good. I think that, a lot of times we do sacrifice things to get, and I think that overall we have to sacrifice something. Like none of us are perfect, and we do everything well and find success.
Right.
And I think I always ask that question because I think that there's a lot of people out there that maybe theirs isn't health, theirs is their relationships or their finances or whatever. And I think it's just trying to offer the courage to them that you can still have it all. Like just start making those progressive changes, which is great. So appreciate you and Dani, or you and Flip, and I appreciate you and all that you do for the industry and for being a great friend. So thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
Thank you so much. It was an honor.
Yep, thank you. Think Realty, thanks so much for being a part. I always appreciate your time. And I want to say a quick thank you again to our podcast sponsor, which is CV3 Financial. When you're taking on a new real estate investment project, having a trusted lender is key. Count on CV3 for your fix and flip, rental, cash out, or rate and term refi needs. Visit cv3financial.com/Think Realty. And I also want to just say a quick plug for the Think Realty Plus program, which is our $14.99 program. That's the most we have to offer at Think Realty, and that gets you access to all of our shows, the magazine on your doorstep, access to the resident experts, monthly calls, everything that we have to offer. You get that for $14.99. If you go to the thinkrealty.com site and use the code LAUNCH, you can get the $14.99 program. And we just want to be a companion on your journey. As a third generation real estate investor, I have a real passion for real estate investors. And I want to make sure that you're getting good information. If you're filling your head with information from Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, Yahoo Finance, you're not doing it right. You need to come to real, true sources that are doing it on an active basis. And let us help you. Let us provide the data and the information you need so you can think more like an investor and not like a consumer. Have a great day. Thanks for being a part of the podcast.